Also, the Medline is a materials distribution, basically. They don't do pharmaceuticals at all, and radioactive materials for diagnostic testing are a pharmaceutical. They don't have a license for it. They couldn't have it there if they wanted. And they're also awaiting a letter from the building inspector in Uyanda, who has inspected their entire facility, and he can no report as to whether or not he's found any storage of radioactive materials. We haven't gotten that letter yet.
Okay, so you're saying that the Slate Hill Fire Department is lying. Okay, that's nice. What I'm really concerned about here is that you're all familiar with the Freedom of Information Act, FOIL requests. I'm really curious, Mr. Beaumont, maybe you could answer this question. This letter was given to you at 10 o'clock Friday.
That's correct.
At 7:45, R.J. Smith called up Michael Sussman about this letter. How was Mr. Smith, how did he know about this letter? It's my understanding, and I foiled for a lot of things in this town, it takes up to 30 days to receive my response to my FOIL request. How did he receive something, this copy of this letter, within an 8-hour period?
I can't tell you beyond the fact that I scanned it and faxed it or emailed it over to Sue Hatton. We have to share all of our stuff with our applicants and what they do with it.
He's not your applicant.
But
He's not your applicant. He's a citizen.
We did not, I don't know that we shared with Mr. Smith, but perhaps the applicant did share with Mr. Smith.
All right, so within 8 hours, this here was disseminated throughout the Medline industry. Everybody knew about it.
Well, I can only tell you that it went out from my
Seems a little strange.
scanner
Takes
about
me 30 days to get
1:30.
information from this town. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Nina?
I wrote this down today, so.
Need a microphone.
Okay.
Can we get her a microphone?
I'm feeling as though our town boards are not protecting the residents who live here. On July 11th, at the town board meeting, James Farr, the interim building inspector, gave a report that raised red flags to all present who heard what he had to say. Our town is failing to keep up with required commercial inspections such as concrete testing, steel inspections, stormwater inspections, and fire code inspections, and more on the 22 active commercial site plans under review. Considering the problems related to stormwater damage at Legoland, you would think our town would be alerted to prevention here, yet Mr. Farr noted that the town of Montgomery has failed to complete its basic stormwater inspections. It is the town of Montgomery's responsibility to enforce projects for compliance with the stormwater pollution prevention plan. Farr reported that these inspections have only been sporadically completed or not at all. Protecting the tin ropes immediately comes to my mind. Also alarming to me was the lack of routine fire code inspections required by state codes. Mr. Farr noted 192 commercial occupancies that have not had their fire inspections completed, and said it would take one person 1 to 1.5 years to get caught up. We all deserve better than that. Another example he gave was that a gas line was put in the wrong place because no one was watching over a project. Overall, he said that we need to plan ahead for these things, and we have not. I thought we were better, but this report shows a flunky, ineffective, chaotic system, failing our responsibilities, and one that leaves us open to litigation. This leads to my question to each of you on the planning board. If you are unable to adequately review all the numerous commercial projects on the table before you, what proactive steps are you taking to slow down the process to be thorough? I started to review the huge DEIS for Medline and wondered how you would have the time to cover all these projects and still have it life. We need to be confident that you're protecting the residents and our quality of life over those for-profit applicants full of rosy tinted promises while clamoring full steam ahead for quick approvals. This is a moral and ethical question, and we are fully watching how you proceed. How could you not see the need for a pause, a moratorium, while we fix our daily comprehensive plan and get caught up on all the related required inspections? You may be has information on their website and Facebook page to help others understand the call to action. We need to protect our quality of life.
Yes, Katrina?
Hi, Karina Tipton, Village of Montgomery, and you guys have just started to see me pretty recently. I only started to show up when I read about celebration in the newspaper. And I'm trying to figure out how our town boards work together, and this is probably not the purpose of this comment for you, but I guess I just wanted to ask how the town board and the planning board interact. And the reason why I ask is because I've been coming to these meetings very regularly, and I've never seen a town board member at these meetings. And I think it would just be like above and beyond to ask you guys to attend yet another meeting instead of town board meeting and interact with them in that format. And you guys have been very clear with us, and I appreciate that, as to the responsibilities you hold in this role and where your jurisdiction begins and ends with each applicant. But these applicants are making claims in their environmental impact statements about what our town infrastructure is capable of, and these very aspirational claims that the town infrastructure will be developed and will be able to support these future developments. And that's outside of your jurisdiction, you don't have the fiduciary duty to make these things happen.
Right.
So I wanted to just ask how you are able to reconcile the aspirational claims that these applicants are making with the town board's action or inaction on whether or not to enact them. And I'm saying that because as part of the secret process, once an environmental impact statement is final, it's almost dictating, what the town is required to do or what they have to do in order to make these projects work with sufficient infrastructure. And I'm thinking in particular of requirements to improve wastewater treatment systems, whether or not the town would take over a wastewater treatment system, and you may recommend or not recommend about it, boring into, attaching into an overland sewage treatment plant. Those are fiduciary responsibilities, and those are decisions that must be made with money and bonds and the taxpayer. I'm curious how this
We're well aware.
likely conflict.
It's another portion of our concern.
Right.
At this point in the draft environmental impact statement, it's up to them to proceed. If they want to, they proceed at their own risk. At some point in time, the rubber's gonna hit the road and it's gonna work or not. But this has been brought up before, well, a long time ago, when it came to their ability to have public utilities. So we're all over it.
So I guess in terms of how do you interact, back to my original question, which I'm sorry I had a lot to go back. How do you interact with the town board to make sure they understand the responsibilities that they may undertake on behalf of the taxpayers if they say yes or no to these, SCP permits or something?
It all has to be able to work and they don't get an approval unless it will.
Okay.
So the capacity has to be there, they have to have the ability to do it.
Okay.
But if they don't have sewer, they don't do it.
But if the town, I guess if the town has to bring a new sewer plant online in order to, that might be a cost to the taxpayers. I'm concerned about people sneaking in under the.
We're not gonna stick with it.
Okay.
The district would pay for any improvements to the sewage treatment plant.
All right, and I know I haven't met many in person, but as a friend, I hope that the town board understands the weight of responsibility that you hold and the number of applications. Because one of the things we're trying to do is ask for a moratorium, and if the town board isn't hearing that from you as well as from us, they may not understand the gravity of our current situation. So just as a friend, I just hope that you're sharing your feelings with them as well. It's really important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Tom. We're going past we have a public hearing.
Be short, because we will be having a public hearing. My name is John Cowell, one of the attorneys, which told us you were representing that line in this application. And I feel compelled just to respond to one issue that was brought up today, as it relates to radioactive materials and allegations that were made in how that line these allegations. We were at a town board meeting a couple of weeks ago. The allegation was made in public that there were radioactive materials on the site without a license. We asked the person who made that allegation with whether they verified it, because we had asked the client when we heard about it, and we were told there was nothing on the site. They promised us they would verify it, and that person said before we send anything, we verify it. I said, well, we just said it after the public meeting. There are people on Facebook who are sharing this information, alleging that a crime or actions are occurring at the site, and we'd like to know what the allegation is so we can respond to it. We received no response to that person we asked, although we were promised it in the day or two. The first indication we had of it is when Ms. Haddon, as she applied to do, when she gives a comment regarding her application, she forwards us to respond to it. I would think that people, if they really were concerned that there were radioactivity, I was surprised that they didn't contact the fire department. They never contacted the town to look. They put it on Facebook as an allegation. We looked at the redacted copy of that email. We immediately contacted the fire department to see if it was true. Because if it was true, it was a big deal. The fire department had no indication of it. They said they had been on the site. They did training exercises on the site. They had inspected the site. They had no indication. Today, the fire department went on the site. They confirmed in writing that they had no indication, that there had never been an indication of it. We had a reporter come to the site to review the site, and we invited the board members or anyone who would want to come to the site that was impartial to see if there is any radioactivity. So I am hoping that that allegation would be removed from the website, and those people who are encouraging people to share it would remove it. There are issues regarding this. We're looking forward to the public hearing. We're looking forward to the comments, and the DEIS and NDEIS will be a list, if this is approved, of conditions that the applicant will have to meet. When we talk about sewer, the applicant will not only have to meet the conditions of this town, they will have to meet the conditions of the DEC. The DEIS is very clear, we've lost with you before those improvements, who would make those improvements. It's clear in the DEIS, it would be clear in conditions. But we welcome comments on those issues. We welcome comments on stormwater, we welcome comments on traffic, because we understand that people are potentially impacted on this and they have concerns. We are open, the applicant has been open to addressing those issues, but when it comes to hate campaign or campaigns to denigrate people, claim that a certain person is affiliated with this, those comments are not justified in the comments. This is because someone wants to develop who is a company that has supplied medical products in this region for years, that supplies to the hospitals that you go to. Whenever anyone, God forbid you have an operation, but if you use any operations, you probably purchase through that one. They're a company that has done business, they're a reputable company, if you are concerned about them located in this facility, we're willing to listen.
Thanks, John.
Public climate, there has been an enemy. Regarding the discussion, we can wait for discussion. Thank you very much.
Yes, Susan?
Just real quick,
Thanks.
pardon?
Thanks, good.
Yeah. His wife's not coming tonight?
No, he's over here today.
I just wanted it on record that, and this is kind of like seedy and smarmy, but there's a lot of shilling going on, and when people, women in particular, leave the meetings in the lobby and the parking lot, they've been accosted by people for projects. And I wanted to bring it to your attention that I got a phone call from a realtor. I have a private number, and I really find it offensive that somehow my number got out. So there's been people in the lobby and the parking lot that have been directly accosted. One of them was told that I'm a liar. That's unseemly behavior.
All right.
And I want it on the record.
We're gonna have a police
Thank you.
presence at the DEIS hearing.
Yes.
I've talked to the chief, so there'll be some policemen there for any of this. Okay, our first, normally scheduled, item tonight is 915 Route 17K, LLC, State Route, 17K in Bracken Road. SCU permit site plan, 3-lot commercial subdivision. This is a continuation of a public hearing. Representing the applicant is Larry Marshall. How are you, Larry? Good. If you could fill us in where we're at. Okay.
Good evening. So the revisions that we've made since the last presentation for this project are primarily some cleanup items relating to consistency of information between the plans as well as the EAF. That a revised EAF has been submitted to the board for their consideration. In addition to that, we have revised the grading plan and landscaping plan, particularly as it relates to the Route 17K corridor. We have proposed to install an earthen berm along the corridor of Route 17K to further shield the potential warehouse building that's proposed on Lot 2. The berm will will wrap around the corner of Bracken Road and 17K and continue up to the proposed entrance to the facility off of 17K, and then it will pick back up on the westerly side of the property to further shield the parking area and the warehouse building. We have also included a berm along the westerly edge on proposed Lot 3, as there was concerns from the neighbor to the west regarding visibility. In addition to that, we have revised the landscaping plan for the project. So we have, basically we've added a double row of pine trees along the entire, all the tops of the berms that would be constructed. And we've increased the planting size. Before they were 6 to 8 feet. We have proposed 12 to 15 foot pine trees.
Okay. So everyone is aware, we received new plans on Friday. We just circulated them this evening. So there will be a forthcoming review from our consultants. Not sure exactly when that'll get accomplished, but it'll take a little bit of time to get that done. As this is a public hearing, we welcome comment from the audience. Could you please address your comments to the board and the applicant? Hopefully we can help out with any questions or comments you may have. Anybody like to make a comment on 915-17K? Yes, Susan?
Question for the double rows of trees, are they having an underground sprinkler system or some kind of water system? Because we've seen plenty of sites with those trees.
Would you like, did everybody hear that comment?
No, that would be great, thank you.
I believe there's a mic right there. Good idea.
My question was, with all these, what are they, white pine, a delicate tree, if there's going to be a sprinkler or underground water system installed so that it's not just double rows of dead trees? That's all.
Our site plan requirements require that they're guaranteed for a period of time. I believe it's 2 years that we require.
When people plant, they have a 2-year guarantee, but
Okay.
if it's partly approval, it's a permanent issue, so it's very much in the applicant's interest to make sure that they order those very expensive.
Right, they have to replace them if they die.
They have to, it's
Yes.
written? Okay.
As part of the site plan feature, they have to maintain it. Okay?
I'm holding this, who's next?
Who's going up? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name's Tom Walcott. I'm from the village of Maybrook. And
Sure.
my name's Tom Walcott. I'm from the village of Maybrook. I had a question of whether these proposed warehouses, are they going to be spec warehouses or a business going to already slated to use them?
I believe there's no end user at this time.
Okay. The gentleman talked about the planting of the pine trees as visibility. As a warehouse, they'll probably have forklift operations. Are they gonna have anything regarding those forklifts as far as making noise? Because they said there was a residential neighbor to the west with a visibility issue. I'm sure he'll have.
Noise will be issued.
Noise will be issue. I live in Maybrook and I can attest it's 24/7 beep, beep, beep. They do more business going backwards than they do forwards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Hi, I'm Sue Reichart,
Hi, Sue.
and we are the neighbors on the west. And I know I have to stand up. Anyway, I just had a question. I know there's going to be a berm and the trees are there. Are you clearing that land where the trees already are all the way down to the swampy area? Or just could you clarify some of that for us?
Sure. So there's a DEC wetland. So there's a DEC wetland along the westerly portion of the property that extends into the property. And then there is a 100-foot buffer that extends beyond that. We are not proposing any encroachment into the wetland, nor are we the wetland buffer. So at the very least, there will be a 100-foot buffer area between the proposed area of construction and the westerly property line, but specifically in the area of the proposed development on Lot 3, that extends substantially further.
Okay, thank you. I also have questions about if you have looked into the well or what your water source is going to be and how it would affect us possibly, because we're still on wells there going west.
Again, as stated at the last meeting, the proposed potable water system for this development is a well located on Lot 2 that would serve the 3 properties. The fire suppression system, fire suppression water for the sprinkler systems would be is proposed to be obtained from the fire suppression district on Bracken Road from the village or from the town of Montgomery. The proposed potable water usage is relatively low in comparison to single-family homes. It's I don't know the exact figures. I don't have them in front of me. I can look them up. It's like 2,500 gallons.
It wasn't a lot.
It's like 2,500 gallons, 1,800 gallons per day. I'll look it up.
I think it was 15.
Yes.
But when a single-family home, 4 bedrooms, typically has a design usage of 440 gallons per day, and this development is approximately 2.
Okay, thank you. And one of the issues, I know we're concerned with the noise for sure, the 24-hour beep beeps, but also lighting. Nobody has really brought up anything about lighting because that's gonna really, it's gonna be like we're in daylight 24/7
Right,
as
no,
well.
that's on our radar too. I know Mr. Kelly, you're working on the lighting, or you're working on getting a plan to work on the lighting for this? 915, 17K, Stavisky's?
Yes, absolutely. But not at this point, I haven't because of possibility.
Changing your, right,
Right.
okay.
Nothing's been firmed up.
We will be looking at it quite extensively and thoroughly to make sure that light doesn't spill over the boundary lines. It's not lit up like a Christmas tree.
Thank you.
Keep the light in on the site and not spilling out into the roadway where it doesn't need to.
Fred, it's not 24-hour operation there. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Well,
You also
yeah,
agree.
but sometimes the parking, I mean, we parking lots are lit up all the time sometimes as well. Whether they're working or not, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So we're concerned with that. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, Corey?
Good evening. Yes, I have a lot more questions. I know you guys just got the information you said, but the first thing I wanted to ask was, which I was still unclear, the water. You said we're going to use you already have a well site picked for the potable water. But it hasn't been tested as far as I know, right?
It's been drilled.
Has it been drilled?
It hasn't been drilled, no.
It hasn't been drilled,
No.
so how do we know it's gonna support? That's number one. Number two, the point I made last time was, you're going into 3 separate businesses. You're gonna subdivide it in 3 parts, 3 separate businesses. You're saying one supply is going to share that water equally? Is that how this is going to work?
Yeah,
I mean, each house has their own well, so I don't know how that's going to,
they're gonna share the well, I believe, right? We're gonna have a water system for the 3 buildings.
but you're not sure it's going to meet the quantity needed. Okay. The other thing now, I was looking at your new FEAS form. There was just a couple of discrepancies that I was seeing, just minor stuff. On the first page, you guys maybe haven't picked up, you're saying that the front office will be 1,000 square foot. But on other documents, I saw it, I think maybe it was from Leslie Johnson, I said 1,400 square foot. So, is it 1,400 or is it 1,000? That's one minor question. The warehouse, one on the first pages, new FES, it says the proposed is 74,050 square foot warehouse on lot 1. But there was, I believe, Garland document dated July 12, 2019, listed as 73,800 square foot. So which one is it? I don't know. A couple other little things that just, because like you said, you just got this and I just got it too. I found it interesting. I don't know how you did it, but I think it's great because under section C on page 5 of this thing, you list the anticipated water usage demand per day is 1,500 gallons per day. But on June 6th, you listed it as 2,500 gallons per day. So you went down 1,000 gallons. I don't know how you did it. Congratulations. Also, section D, it said, will the proposed action generate liquid wastes? It was, yes, 1,500 gallons a day. Again, your own documents of June 19th, which is only a month ago or so, said 2,500 gallons. Again, it's a discrepancy, so you got to be aware. And again, and I know I brought this up last time, if a public water supply will not be used, describe the plans to provide the water supply for the project, and it says on-site public water supply. So, and supposedly 10 gallons per minute. So, like when we asked the question last time, is if you can't get that water drilled and working, what is your alternative? What would you do? Because I thought, again, I pointed out last time we were here, the subdivision paperwork that I found said you should have an engineering study showing the water is done, that it can be met before you decide to even subdivide to begin with. I don't have that right in front of me right now. And somebody had overheard him saying, well, if it doesn't meet it, we have alternatives. So I'd just like to know what the alternatives would be if the water doesn't pan out to support the 3 warehouses. I mean, he said it himself, he was over, yeah, well, we have alternatives. I don't know what those alternatives are. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, how much impervious surface will the project create in relation to the total size of the project? Page 6. They're basically just saying nothing but building rooftops. Well, when you pave and you put all this driveway stuff, doesn't that make impervious surfaces? So that's I don't understand that point on page 6 of the current FEAS. You know, that would, I guess, have to play into your stormwater, but okay, page 7, which was an eye opener a little bit. Page 7. Okay, we're projecting 107 parking spots on this site, but the Creighton Manning report of June 3rd, 2019 said, no, it's like 116 spots. That's almost a 10% difference. Again, I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. You know, that's a discrepancy. Also, now this is the one that really got me. Hours of operation, somebody just mentioned it. The new report says Monday through Friday during construction, 7 to 7, Saturday, 8 to 5. Has not changed from the previous. But they did change, they said they will not do any Sunday construction. So that's great, I'm all for that. Hours of operation, however, was originally 6 to 6, Monday through Friday, 6 to 6 Saturday, 7 to 5 on Sunday, no holidays. Your new FES says it's 24 hours a day operation, 7 days a week, including holidays.
Oh, boy.
It's right there, it's there. I didn't write it.
What about that?
Just, huh? What's on plans? It says, no, the original plan said, the original stuff that was dated, the previous one of June, here we are July, 1 month later. Now I went from, you know, I wasn't happy with hours operating on Sunday, but at least there's a window. Now it's all changed to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including the holidays. That's what they're proposing. This is in, I guess, I'll say it again, along the 17K stretch is a residential area. Tell me how that fits into the environment that I am living in for the last 35 years. How can you do that? You know, I just can't get over it. Now, that, as far as the DEC, I know you've had conversations. So where does the DEC stand with the closure and the monitoring of the landfill?
We submitted a letter today to Sue's office.
Stating what? Do you know, or can you tell us? Because I know I've talked to the DEC official too. It was her impression that this has not been monitored properly. She's now in charge of conducting negotiations with Sterling, and she's just not sure which way she's going with it. Now, also well number 4, has that been put on the map? It wasn't last time, and it is, now it's on the map, and it's right under the parking spots. Well number 4 is what they're supposed to monitor until the DEC says no, unless I misunderstand it. So again, that's just something you guys have to keep in mind, what's going on. There's just too many things that don't seem to be adding up, and it changes very quickly, is all I'm gonna say. So, with that, I'll just let it go for now.
Okay.
And I'll let somebody else come up and bring up other points.
Okay. Who else would like to speak?
Yes, say your name.
Finally, sorry.
Yes, say your name.
Hi, I'm Lori Lentini. I'm new to the meeting. I haven't been to one before. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak. I'm a long-term Montgomery resident, and I'm also the Senior Vice President of Human Resources at the 3rd largest employer in Orange County. And my questions aren't environmental. They're a little bit in a different area. So, and also I'm not against expansion. I live in the village, and I was all for the winery. I think when there's expansion, that adds to the value of the town, and people would want to come and visit and participate in things. I think that makes complete sense. So it's not that I'm opposed to expansion, but what I'm looking for is what value is this bringing to the community. We have, I was told by some residents, which is why I'm here today, that one of the benefits or selling points, however you're looking at it, is that they're bringing jobs to the area. So I just want to share some facts as I understand them for you to consider. Anybody driven down Neelytown Road lately? There's nine, although there's a ton of buildings over there, but I went online and I looked at how they're doing with staffing, and they're having a really hard time finding people to take those jobs. Ethan Allen has jobs out there for $14.72 an hour. Staples has first, second, and third shift at $16 an hour. Cardinal Health, United Parcel, the Home Depot, YRC Freight has jobs right in Maybrook, which is pretty close, at $16 an hour. Capstone Logistics has them at $17.50. Unify has them up to $23.50. And FedEx has jobs, and that's just in Montgomery. There, and you got Newburgh, you got Monroe. There's so many warehouse jobs in the area that I'm really not sure. I don't know if the company has even done an analysis of where they're going to get staff for any of these projects, because they don't live here. In Orange County, we have a 3.3% unemployment rate right now, which is lower than New York State and lower than the national average. I don't know that people are really in need of warehouse jobs, maybe other kinds of employment that's a little more valuable. The employer I work for has a variety of jobs. We have everything from therapists to counselors to case managers to bus drivers to industrial workers to food service workers. And I have constantly, for the last 2 years, had over 200 openings that I cannot fill. So I'm not sure where these people are coming from, and I'm just not sure that, I'm wondering what other benefits these projects are bringing to our community besides jobs that we perhaps don't need or want. So just curious about that and how we're thinking about that. I'd hate to build all these huge warehouses and then have them go vacant because the analysis wasn't done and we can't staff them, and then the companies have to go somewhere else and we're left with that. And I really, when I moved to Montgomery a lifetime ago, I never thought I'd be living in the capital of warehouse of the country.
Yeah.
So there must be other projects that add more value to the community, like the winery or something with cultural or arts or helps children, or there just must be something besides warehouses that we could perhaps consider, and that's my concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Noreen Reynolds. I'm from the village of Maybrook. My concern is, as you know, several years ago, our elementary school was closed. Half our kids now go to the village of Montgomery and half go to Berea. We have a company here, or a builder, who has no idea what they're going to put in those big boxes. Trucks are going to be coming and going every day. Buses are going into that Berea Elementary School every day. That is a big concern for me. As you know, every day people pass school buses that are stopped. Heaven forbid something would happen to some of our kids, whether they be Montgomery kids, Coldenham kids who come to Berea, because I lived in Coldenham when Berea opened, and we went over there. It's my question to you guys, is that something that you're looking at? If you have warehouses that we don't even know who's going in there yet, and they're already planning to run 24/7, as this gentleman told us, that's something that needs to seriously be looked at. And that's all I have. Anybody else?
Hi, good evening. Steve Rinaldi, Town of Montgomery. I was just wondering if the final DOT study has been submitted. Okay, I tried to call a gentleman today. He's not going to be back from vacation until Wednesday. Point I wanted to make, between Fedorka Lane and Bracken Road, you have like 5 entrances going on to 17K. Now, I don't see the need for a curb cut on 17K. There is Lakeview Drive. You're going to have that curb cut going off the old Skibitsky's property. The property adjacent on the other side is for sale, 25 acres. What's going to happen when that sells? So in a matter of 150 feet, you're going to have at least 4 entrances to get onto 17K with the sun in your eyes in the morning and the sun in your eyes in the evening. I know you stated at the last meeting that you could put limitations and place a code in there where they can't exit onto 17K, that they have to go down Bracken. Well, that doesn't apply to Russell Lumber, because I went to get coffee this morning and some guy just pulled out with a 52-footer and went right across the other side of the road. I mean, I don't know when the traffic study was done, but like the lady said, you have to take into account the teachers, the students that drive, the school buses, the parents. I mean, the 52 houses on Lakeview, everybody going to work in the morning, coming back. I don't see the need to have that curb cut on 17K.
Anybody else?
I'm back.
No.
Oh, God.
I'm back. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your time. My name is Cherie Zahakis. All right. I did get in today to review some paperwork that you might have had time and opportunity to review. I'll try to be much quicker than the last time, I promise. This is from the attorneys representing the 915 Route 17K LLC. It's from Dickover, Donnelly, and Donovan. The letter is specifically written from Robert J. Dickover. It was dated on July 22nd, so it's pretty recent. It's kind of in reply and summary of, I believe, the last meeting and also of some other prior issues that were brought to your attention, or that you brought to their attention, sorry. Of course, it addresses dear planning board members. As you know, the firm is the counsel for this particular project. I'm kind of summarizing here to get to the point. On the outset, let us thank you for the public received in a public hearing. Thank the board and its constituents for their thorough review of this project and the opportunity to address the myriad of concerns. As to the height of the proposed warehouse buildings, this is one of the first in the reply. The town code provides that in the I3 district that the building height, and I'm going to summarize, is not to exceed 55 feet. They extend that their buildings are going to be around 40, or minus 40, 39 point something, both of them. They say that that is well within and under the maximum of legally allowed for that particular code, and that they are substantially the same as other buildings, including warehouse buildings along Bracken Road. But one of the things I'd like to point out is those warehouse buildings, they are, as you all know, a permitted use. This is a special exception use. So I understand that they want to associate themselves with the other warehouses, but they are indeed to be treated differently. It is a special exception use to where the board, if you hear our cry and the clanging of the bell of our worries, that you'll take into consideration that it's not a fit. It's really not harmonious. But they say they want to be like everybody else there, right? Including warehouse buildings along Bracken Road. Further reduction in the height of the two warehouse buildings severely limits their use for their intended purpose. Lessened height on the inside of the building limits the available space for internal storage and devalues the property from a monetary standpoint and makes it less desirable for such a user. It sounds to me like they're trying to claim hardship. Well, first of all, the building is only built on speculation, and it's only your proposal. The building doesn't exist, and you're not limiting its use. They're asking permission to come into the town, a New Jersey applicant, into our town, and they're trying to dictate to you, saying, hey, everybody else has this, we want it too, and oh, by the way, if you don't let us have it, we're going to have a problem because it's less desirable. Well, less desirable is a warehouse out your front door.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's the reality. I understand what you're saying, and I too, I want this land settled. It's like the sword of Damocles, if you don't know what that is. It's hanging over our head. Every day something happens there. We don't know if it's going to be a bad use or a decent use, harmonious, commensurate with a neighborhood. But they're claiming that it's going to hurt them for their intended purposes. But I would like to quote them to get to the point, is there are almost 30 other uses. And by the way, that includes a playground. So, I mean, we're not hurting them. They haven't done anything yet. They want to do something. Then it says, in consideration of the perceived visual impact of the building, the applicant is willing to revise the plans to partially obscure the view of the buildings from the New York State Route 17K, by construction of the earthen berm along the roadway frontage, which he stated. As 17K is higher than the elevation than the project site, and even without the berm, the building will be obscured from the view of 17K because the roadway is higher and the building is lower.
Yeah, right.
Well, if I recall from their documents, one side will be dredged down or dug down to make grade 7 feet, and the other one will be on grade. And I happen to know when I'm on 17K, I see everything about that property, including the rabbits that used to jump around the toilets that used to be there.
Yeah.
So I don't buy into that because it's a little downhill. Now, number one is definitely applicable to that, but the one on 17K, there's no way that could be held out to be true. And it also should be noted that the view of the building from the two residences, I'm one of them, I do believe. My neighbor Steve is perhaps the other, is a very northerly corner, and across the highway from the project site are minimal because Route 17K is between and separates those two residences from the project site. I feel that's a little frivolous an answer. Steve, will you stand up? Do you live across the street from me?
Yep.
And I see you, don't I?
Hard to beat.
The point is 17K does not stop anything. So to use this as a justification of visibility, it seems to me demeaning again. We're going back to how serious are they taking you, our town, our law, and our community. And I'm part of that community and our residences. Further, the only direct view that would be observed would be by cars coming out of the lakeside. It's actually the Lakeview community approaching the Lakeview Route 17K intersection. That view is not directly, it's a little bit difficult reading, but that view is not directly of the proposed buildings on either of, but rather one of the already existing Town of Montgomery utility station surrounded by a chain link fence. And behind that, the existing and vast wetland area that lies to the west of the project site. Well, I don't know about you, but our road tees directly into 17K. If that's the only thing I ever saw looking straight ahead was the sewer system, that little tiny chain linked area, then I'm dead. Because to get out of Lakeview onto the highway, I know you all may not experience it. You may all experience it in your own right. It's deadly. There are times you just can't do it. So to say that the only thing I see when I pull out of Lakeview is that is wrong. I look to my left, hi people, and I look to my right, to the board. I see it. I'm not blind to it. So again, slightly untrue, to say the least. And that vast wetland, vast means boundless, limitless, immeasurable. The wetland lies between the properties on the right, 17K, and Bracken Road and their property. It's not. And you know what? Plants die in the winter. It's purely visible. Even the border that I have with my house is on 17K. If the state decided to clear cut it, I'd have no protection and visible buffer. So they are as clear to me as your faces. So to go on. And then it explains that other than the two residents, it goes into the fact that there is only one other residence in proximity to the proposed building, and that residence is also across 17K in the Shady Lawn Place. And they said that that existing drive is opposite the intersection of Bracken Road and 17K. And they said residence to residence, or to the proposed building to that residence, is 225. And then they say it's approximately 600 feet from the proposed access drive on New York State and 17K. Well, using in the environmental mapper on the EPA site, it's really only 360 feet. So I'm not sure where 600 comes from. And that's driveway to driveway. You know, if they want to talk building corner to building corner, here we go. We're bounded by a rock wall, we're bounded by a street, and we're not talking reality. I live in reality, right? You live in reality. Who your neighbors are, what goes on, what you see, and what you experience. It's not a pretend thing here. It's very real. Now, on the north side, they talk about 17K properties not zoned for residential use, but it's zoned as B4. And the house in the corner in Shading 1 is in the B4. And other than that, the structure of the land is otherwise vacant, which is true. And we also know that I think it's a B4, but behind that, the residential agricultural area stretches clear to Ulster County. So, hello. It's not just a nothing. You as the board, in my mind, and these people in the town, and those people who come to town, we have to think not just the current, but the future uses. And how it's going to affect that. The curb cuts. Is it smart? Should they stick to only the 2 on Bracken Road? Is there really a need for a third? I mean, these are things that you can put your fingerprint on, along with the hours of operation. Are you kidding me? Out my front door 24/7 and holidays? Really? And you have the right to say no. This isn't a permitted use. You have the right. You have the right to limit it, to make it cohesive. I don't even really want them there. But if they have to come here, we need to work together to make it work. And you, each and every one of you, need to stand on what is right for your community, not somebody coming in with a spec build. But it does get better, and I'm almost done, right? To the north side, they say that. To the east, and immediately adjacent project is Bracken Road, which is RA2, which it is. And then they bring up the railroad and the drainage ditch, and then they talk about overgrown growth, which, by the way, goes away in winter. For anybody who knows anything about New York, deciduous trees go away in the winter. All right? And it is extremely unlikely in that area that any more residential development will occur. Well, that's just pure speculation on their part. Who knows? We don't know where we're going to be in 10, 15 years here. We didn't know we were going to be suffering warehouse pressure, right? We don't know. And then to the south of the project, they go on and they state that it is owned I-1 and developed industrial-style buildings. And speaking of the buildings, one of the things I would also like to ask, and it was asked, I believe, previously and follow up on, we've yet to see an architectural rendering of what the building will look like. If they want to make it look like an amazing building that's commensurate with Montgomery, so that when people drive by and they go, ooh, what's that? Well, that's different. But if it's just going to look like another brick, a tin building, we need to know that too, because that's part of the consideration of being commensurate with the community. So I know that that's over a month ago that was asked for, and I haven't seen it yet in any of the documents. Moving on. They say to the west of the project, site property is owned RA2, however, immediately adjacent burden a significant size New York State protected wetland. And they go back to the wetland, and that there is a property itself is in some identified commercial business use that's just on the other side of that wetland. If they took the time to pay attention to our town, they'd have found out that it's not commercial because that's a RA2 area, not commercial. So again, they're treating us just like we don't matter, like because maybe we're not lawyers or millionaires to throw ourselves around, that we're insignificant in this. And I don't believe that you all feel that we are, any more than you would want yourself to be made felt that way. They talk about traffic assessment. They talk about the environmental notes. Whoops, sorry. And as a request to be no construction business as on Sundays. The applicant agrees to curtail construction activity on Sundays. However, the business of warehousing takes place on a continuous basis. And in the absence of knowing who the ultimate warehouse operator will be and having their consent to such an imposition to request to curtail operating hours imposes a significant and detrimental burden on the value and the use of the premises. The applicant respectfully declines this imposition. How does that make you board members feel? You guys have the right to say what's going on, and they're saying, well, we want to be like every other warehouse. Well, every other warehouse is not in an SCU, and it's not surrounded by residences. There's a difference. I want to let you know that, I don't know if you know, but they proposed that third lot to be a gravel yard. It's no longer a gravel yard, folks. According to the document, July 22nd, as to the use of the buildings, the intended use of the two buildings on Lot 1 and 2 is for warehousing. The intended use for the building on Lot 3, business use. The applicant currently has a contract for the sale of Lot 3 to a buyer who intends to use that lot for a short-term storage of repossessed automobiles. And the building, and the building, hold on, because they want me done here. The building, and I want me done. The building of the office conducting that business, that use will naturally be up to the site plan review and approval. This is like switching out. And now we have cars. Now we have to consider, is there going to be dripping? And whatever, how long? There's only 5 parking spots. So how many cars are they going to park there for repossession? How long are they going to stay? And they said they already have a contract for it when we haven't even really approved this whole plan. So is there something that's going on that we all don't know about, that they believe that you guys are all just going to yield and say, yeah, you got it. 24, and I don't mean to be theatrical. This is my life. Right? What if I sat in front of you, and I don't know where you live, but I said to you, right out your front door, and I have a picture I'm going to show you of how I may approach. You want to look at a warehouse? And I don't know how you may. And you may like it. And you may like it. But you don't like it. But if you could have stopped it or put some reasonable curtailment on it because you were able to, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? 24/7. I'm a Christian, doesn't matter. I celebrate Christmas. Do I really want to hear beepers on Christmas Day? No, no, no. And so they're asking for the 24-hour. And by the way, within the I3 zoning district, the town code permits the uses of these things, and they list it. And by the way, when he gives it 15, right in section, this is in the listing of applicable uses. He uses the items I'm sure you might be aware of. You looked at it. 15, office business. 2, building contractor. 7, limited non-use, blah, 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 blah. And what really he's quoting is not our book. This lawyer has gone on and used the E-code because he quotes it as 235.72. So even his numbers are not accurate as to what code he's quoting. Okay, just to understand that we, as a community, need these people to care to do the job right. And here I just want to say, they talked about how they're going to cover the berm. When you read your code, and I don't have that sheet of paper, yes I do, thank you. Again, I'm out of here, I'm listening 3 minutes. In section 140-50-37.03 of the current book, it says front yards, along with the road cited above, and that meaning all land within 250 feet of a state or county highway, which contain parking areas, and it's going to be a parking area on that side, shall have said parking screened by the use of existing vegetation, which they're going to strip in order to do their construction, berms with low plantings, evergreens planted in double staggered rows with shrubs and trees 10 feet on center in each row. The stone wall is solid fence is determined by the planning board. So they went from deciduous trees that lose and spirea, which I have in my yard and quite beautiful, but they also use their leaves, to planting double rows of trees, which according to what I'm reading, they're already required to do. Plus, they're supposed to put in other types of trees. So I do appreciate them moving the notch, but I don't think they're fulfilling it. And when they talked about vision, and I truly am done, this is how they advertised it, okay? And what they state here is description. And this is the Skibitsky property. 18 acres of industrial land with great visibility. 600 feet frontage is 17K, and 1,300 feet frontage on Bracken Road. What does great visibility mean to you? That's my front door you're talking about. Now, the other thing, really quick, we know property, and then I won't speak for the rest of the night. Property values. We can all discuss property values. They want to claim hardship because they can't get what they want. Well, I can't get the lottery numbers either, but here it is. It comes right out of we called a realtor because we did invest in our house. And so you know how passionate I am for my town. I told my husband the only way we're going to do anything to our house is to make it look commensurate with Montgomery. I lived in a 300-year-old house out here on 416. I loved this town. It was bucolic. If y'all don't recognize what these people recognize as a gold mine, and if we sell out to these people all this land for warehouses, we're really not protecting our investment. There's so much more. If they want it here, we're behind an airport. We have bucolic land. We have that. They want it. But what could we do better with it to make our lives better? But they talk about land. There's a Kane and Quigley study in 1970, and it's one of the first to document the negative effect of these industrial properties. The proximity to industrial land uses is almost universally found to have a deteriorating effect. That was also from Guther and Murawski in 1980, that have to be defined in terms of noise in the proximity, undesirable views, and excess traffic. That's all detrimental. These are actual studies that people have done. Hughes and Simmons in 1992 found that traffic generated by commercial activity only produced negative home value impact. Sorry, too loud. Corwell, Jagal, and Colby in 1985, anything within 1,500 feet or a half a mile, property values decline with increased proximity to these centers. Also, there's other studies, I'm getting out of here. They said here, in one of the documents that we have, this is directly from Max Properties, any conscious concerned homeowner is definitely going to want to know the impact of the new existing commercial property nearby on their property values. And much of the impact depends on the proximity to your property. According to the Home Basin Center for Common Concerns report, those larger commercial developments and projects, as well as fog-spewing industrial complexes, tend to have a much greater impact, a negative one, on your home values. This is all direct quote. Let's face it, people don't want to live near factories or warehouses. Obvious. And I'm not trying to be a NIMBY. If they want to build the warehouse down on the very bottom and do an amazing something so that when people come along 17K and they try to get to our historic villages, we have a gold mine here, the Wallkill River, right? Yeah. We have the Orange County Park, the Farmers Museum, we have Railroad, we have Schrade, we have Montgomery. But here's a problem, and I'll finish. This is from Quantum Listings. I found embarrassment for myself and my community. This is how it's advertised here. Location, industrial area that has attracted most of the large box development due to the ease of access to highways and water and sewer. Okay. As well as lenient zoning and approvals.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
And the last thing I want to do, and I'm going to put the mic down, and I'm out of your hair. This is a picture from my home, because I want you to understand specifically that I am not. Use the mic. Use the mic. I can't do three things at once. I am a woman, but. Thank you, Sue. All right, I want the board to see. This is out of my front yard looking at the Skibitsky property. That's what I see. That's my home view. I'm supposed to live with this because somebody wants to make money on a piece of property with a harsh use that's not permitted, that isn't homogeneous, does not act like a good neighbor, changing things, wants to be big. We don't know even who's going to be in it.
They want to run it 24/7, and you have the power to make the difference. And I thank you.
For diesel fuels.
And thank you, and I respect you all. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome, thank you.
That tells us you're here.
So everyone is aware, we actually have a number of things that we need addressed, so I'll announce now that we're not gonna close this hearing on this project this evening. There will be another shot at this, because we have a set of plans for review, get them comments. We also have DOT needed a accident report. I don't believe that's been accomplished.
To be
We'll
continued
see the
another day.
result of that. We have the issue with the DEC and the TAP landfill, so we're working on that also. I'll let you know also that I reached out to DOT and I will follow up on the speed limit on 17K. So my email has been forwarded to the right person. I need now to contact that person. Not that you can't say anything. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Tom Spatafor. I live on Lakeview Drive.
Okay.
I just want to say that I've been here a long time, and it just seems to me that with all the companies that you're allowing to come in here, tax exempt, this building here alone used to be a lighting company, and the town, if I remember correctly, used to be in Walden.
Right.
And now they're here because they left it here after 10 years. And they left us holding the bag, as most of these companies do. Okay? And that's something that everybody, including all of you sitting there, have to start thinking where it leaves us. I've been here since 1978. I moved up here from the city to get a better life for my kids. They all went to the local schools here. Nobody seems to be doing anything for us. I don't understand. I used to deal with Carl. Carl was we knew each other well, and the town seemed to be doing good, and I just don't understand what the hell happened.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
How you doing? My name is Harvey Weed. I also live on Lakeview Drive for the last 21 years. My family's been in town of Montgomery for over 100 years. I remember this was all farmland as a kid back in the 60s.
Yeah.
To watch it now grow and just deteriorate to nothing but warehouses and vacant buildings. It's ridiculous. It's not like I remember growing up in the 60s and 70s. You know, just saying, my family's been a long time. Most of them are buried around here. And this is not what they would want.
Yeah. There used to be roughly 70 milking farms in
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing, Steve Rinaldi. In 1980, I was working in Newburgh, and my boss said to me, come on, let's go trout fishing. And he brought me up 17K to go up into Roscoe.
Sure.
And I said to him, Charlie, who would live out here? There's nothing. I said, there's nothing out here. There's a Spruce Lodge, there's a deli, there's the A&P, there's a light at Scott's Corners, the other light down at Coldenham, and then a light down in Newburgh. All right? Where are we now? From Lakeview Drive, it's 13 lights to get from my house down to 300, down to Union Avenue. Yep. You know what? Too much traffic, too much of a mess.
I have 4 lights to go 3 miles
Anyone else on
from my
that?
house.
I just want to bring a comment the fact about the diesel fuel, the pollution that all these trucks are going to cause. Diesel fuel is a mist and it floats in the air, and neighbors are going to be breathing it. But that's going to go on 24 hours a day. So we have a health issue here.
Yep.
as well.
Thank you, Dominic.
Anyone else? Yes.
Debbie Core.
Hi, Debbie.
The Orange County is suffering from really poor air quality to begin with. So to begin with, once you start bringing in all these warehouses and they're spewing particulate matter gets into your lungs, particulate matter gets into your bloodstream, it gets into your heart, it causes
particulate matter has been associated with Alzheimer's. It has been associated with poor development in children. And you can do what Hamptonburg had the chutzpah to do and say no.
That's right.
It was amazing to see that town really, really protect their people. It was amazing. And I want to ask, why does anyone have a relationship